This is Clyde's Honest Reviews, where I have a unique set of rules that I follow upon reviewing new and old titles alike, and whether or not I would recommend them for the average viewer. What's important to you guys is important to me, and the biggest factor in recommendations for video games, in my opinion, boils down to the amount of entertainment I can get out of my money. Dollars per entertainment ratio, if you will. And this leads into the major factors of my review system: the pros, the cons, the potential, and most importantly, my gameplay hours, or likely gameplay hours, versus the cost of the game. Why did I make this system? Because I got tired of people recommending video games based off of story or mechanics alone. Sure, a great story or mechanics would go a long way, but if your game's only fun for 10 hours, or I can 100% complete the game without wanting to replay it after 30 hours, I shouldn't be paying $60 for it. What's going on, everybody? This is Clydian Fayre, and first and foremost, I want to welcome you all to my channel. We're going to be pushing the rest of the fluff and stuff off to the side for now, and digging straight into the content, since that's what you're here for. Tactics Ogre Reborn is essentially a remake of the classic 90s turn-based strategy game. Funny enough, the original game was actually a huge inspiration for the creators of my own personal favorite game, Final Fantasy Tactics. And since I knew that, I had to pick this title up. In this title, the player's in charge of a mercenary company and proceeds to do storyline missions to get further in story stuff. Nice. I don't want to elaborate on the storyline or anything like that when it comes down to the plot or spoilers, because a lot of people actually enjoy immersing themselves in the story, and taking away that first experience doesn't sit right with me. However, players proceeding through the game will battle humans and monsters alike to gather experience and gear. Players then use this gear and experience to fully customize their company's roster. Speaking of customization, units are able to be customized based off of their class. So depending on what your class restrictions are, you are able to equip offensive or healing spells. You're able to equip different weapons, different armor types, and fully kit out your unit the way you want it to play and what role you would like it to perform as in a battle. As a unit levels up their spells and skills, so like their weapon skill or their spell skill, they eventually unlock finishers. It's essentially a super strong ability that units get upon achieving a specific level and a skill. Now, upon first glance, the system doesn't actually seem very in-depth. It seems fairly basic. Now, that's mostly because at the beginning of the game, there's only a few classes that are available. As you progress further in the story stuff, you will unlock more classes. I don't know all the classes, so I can't spoil them even if I wanted to. That being said, the story is also a major driver behind how strong your units can be. As players progress through story stuffs, their party level, which is essentially the max level your units are able to achieve, will increase as well as you unlock new classes. Speaking of party level, between each story mission, players are able to enter a training simulator where they battle enemies and earn experience and gear. Units, however, cannot level up past the party level, which increases as you do more story missions. So since that's a feature, you're actually unable to outgrind story missions, which is kind of cool, kind of bad, because I really like grinding sometimes. Overall mechanics aside, the actual stability on the PC port is pretty awesome. I haven't ran into any issues with it on Steam, and I do understand that this game was primarily made for the Switch. So as a PC port, it's really not that cumbersome, and it doesn't feel like an afterthought port. I have yet to find a major bug or game crash while playing this game. And all of that aside, the nostalgia factor on this game is through the roof. Not only will fans of the original Tactics Ogre series enjoy this remake, but other fans of games such as Fire Emblem, Final Fantasy Tactics, Felseal, Arbiter's Mark, Dark Deity. There's so many character turn-based strategy games out there. Lost Eidolons even. There's so many of these titles out there. If you enjoyed any of them, you may enjoy this game. So let's break it down real quick. The pros. Nostalgia factor. It's got great mechanics and it's got decent unit customization. Not to the point I want it at, but it is good. The cons. Well, the biggest con, guys, and the only con, is that there are no random encounter battles that I have ran into. And I've gotten somewhat decent into the storyline, but there's no random encounter battles the way that there is in Final Fantasy Tactics, which means I don't get the extra sense of challenge. Every random encounter battle is actually me just doing the train feature, which is not the same whatsoever. Time to cost. Here it is. The bottom line, the ultimate truth, your hour to dollar ratio. You can snag a copy of Tactics Ogre Reborn for roughly $50 without a sale. Needless to say, that's basically a AAA title, and that's a decent chunk of change, which means in order for me to actually give it like a good rating here, I would have to have at least 100 hours of gameplay in the title, or foresee myself hitting 100 hours of gameplay in this title. And that being said, unless I'm truly 100% just missing something, I don't foresee that happening. On a somewhat conservative estimate, I believe I will reach roughly 40 hours of gameplay in my playthrough of this title, and I'm not 100% sure if I would want to play it more than twice through. So even if I were to play through it twice, I'd only be getting 80 hours max, and to me that just doesn't feel like a good enough value for the replayability content for me to actually give it a good rating. That being said, if it's ever on sale, I definitely recommend picking it up, because you'd be able to get closer to that 2 hours of content per dollar spent, which would be pretty solid. That being said, if you're already a fan of this series or you love this genre of game, you may actually just want to pick it up and experiment with it and play it around, and it may be worthwhile for you. But for the average viewer who doesn't really have that much experience in these sorts of titles, I can't honestly recommend this game. I'd like to thank you all for sticking around for this video, and if you enjoyed this type of content and would like to see more review videos such as this, like the video, do that thing. Until next time, have a good one.